100 old men kicking versus one gorilla. Who wins? Hi, everyone. I'm the old man kicking. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the question that recently went viral on the internet about who would win if 100 men were to face off in a fight against one gorilla. I thought it'd be fun to think about how that battle would go if the 100 men were me. So sit back and listen to how I think it would go if 100 old men kicking faced off against one gorilla. I recommend you stay to the end, particularly before you comment about my thoughts about how I think this battle will go. You can watch video of my martial arts training in the background while you listen. So let's start with a tale of the tape. After some brief internet research that was not very thorough, I'm setting my opponent as a 5'6" tall, 400-pound healthy adult male silverback gorilla. The gorilla can lift over 1,800 pounds and has a stronger bite than a lion. The gorilla is definitely a formidable opponent. On my side, I have 100 of me, 100 copies of the old man kicking. This means each of us is a healthy 50-year-old adult man with over 30 years of martial arts training in Shotokan karate and Taekwondo. Each of us is 5'8" tall and 185 pounds, and I'm going to assume that we all had a good night's sleep. We have not only trained in martial arts, but we have seen hundreds of kung fu and action movies and played lots of fighting video games, so we feel we have the knowledge we need to engage in an imaginary battle inspired by an internet meme. So let the battle begin. The 100 old men kicking marched single file into a large clearing to see the gorilla about 100 yards away. The gorilla, who's been scrolling on his iPhone, knows why we are here. He's caught up on current pop culture events, and he's also curious about who will win this battle. The gorilla pauses to take a selfie of himself, sticking out his tongue and flexing his right biceps. After posting it to Instagram, the gorilla puts his phone down, steps out of his Crocs, and looks to us. We march forward as one, fanning out to the sides until we form 5 rows of 20 old men. We stop about 20 yards away and wait in deep horse stances for no real reason. The gorilla bangs his chest and roars, but we hold steady. We do rise up out of our horse stances, though, because sitting in a deep horse stance kind of sucks. The gorilla appears to be standing his ground, so we march forward and curve our lines to form half circles around the gorilla about 10 yards away. The gorilla bares his teeth, and as he's about to launch, an old man to his right yells a challenge to the gorilla, quoting Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator saying, "I'm here, kill me." The gorilla turns to the sound, and as he does, the first line of old men to his left close the circle, and 2 of them launch flying side kicks at the back of his knees. We are embracing the Cobra Kai strategy to strike first and strike hard, and are employing the attack that Tommy used against Daniel LaRusso in the semifinals of the All Valley Karate Tournament. Unlike Daniel, though, the gorilla is not made of glass, and the old men bounce off having done no damage. Cobra Kai sensei John Kreese would be displeased. The gorilla swings around and promptly squashes the 2 old men for their failed attacks, but the remaining 98 old men engage. We knew we would take casualties, but we understand we need to win this internet speculation for humanity. The remaining old men in the first row stick and move, floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. But unlike Muhammad Ali, we are not the greatest, and we lose several more old men in these early volleys. Even landing some techniques from behind while the gorilla dispatches the old men in front, we are doing little damage. But we are relentless. An old man yells, "Prepare for glory!" like King Leonidas from 300 to embolden the old men, but the gorilla tears him in 2 for calling attention to himself. The gorilla apparently does not like trash talk. The old men, as you've seen in my videos, like to throw high kicks, but after seeing the gorilla eat a high roundhouse kick, like literally eat the kick and the leg that threw it, the old men focus their attacks instead on the gorilla's legs and torso. Thankfully, the old men are not trained in wrestling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because the gorilla has the much better ground game. This becomes clear as the gorilla grabs and grounds and pounds a couple of the old men. Down to 72 old men, the gorilla is starting to fatigue. The old men are rotating attackers in and out to keep themselves fresh like a Roman legion. I guess old men do think a lot about the Roman Empire. Throwing low roundhouse kicks and then getting back to let other men replace them to do the same. The old men are still taking losses, but the gorilla is starting to slow. The attacks continue. We're down to about 47 old men, but the gorilla starts to limp. The old men continue their low roundhouse kicks, and they rejoice when they break one of the gorilla's legs. The old men rejoicing the most happily are crushed by the gorilla, who continues to discourage trash talk. But the old men continue. The gorilla collapses, and the old men back off to take a breath. The gorilla tries to stand like Chuck Norris in his final battle with Bruce Lee in Way of the Dragon. Despite his honorable attempt to continue, the old men circle the gorilla, and they explode to hit the gorilla with push kicks simultaneously that crush him from all sides. With his last breath, the gorilla concedes the battle with a barely audible "us." The old men step back and stand in a ready stance, and then salute their fallen opponent. There are only 28 old men left, and many of them are injured. but losing 72 of their ranks to win this internet battle was a sacrifice they needed to make. So this is how I think the battle would go between 100 old men and one gorilla. Do you agree this is how the battle would go down? Let me know in the comments. Because I don't agree. In reality, the 100 old men kicking would run as fast as they could from that gorilla. And remember, you don't have to be faster than the gorilla. You just have to be faster than the other old men. So how do you think it would go down if you had 100 of you against one gorilla? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what other videos you'd like me to make. Thank you for letting me have some fun with this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit subscribe, kick that like button, check out my other videos, and keep kicking.